to talk a little bit today about unemployment. It's a big topic right now. There are a few issues I have with just the very word unemployment. First, it implies that somebody is supposed to be giving you a job. The problem with that is we have a lot of people, rather than start their own business, rather than figure out what they can do to make money, they're looking for somebody else to have something for them. They're not looking to produce something necessarily, they're looking to get a paycheck. And that's a problem, I would say. It's a bad mentality to have. The other issue I have with the term unemployment is there are a number of people who had a business, who are self-employed, and the recession hit them pretty hard, and they can no longer find the work they need to do, and so now they're unemployed, if you will. But it wasn't that somebody else was employing them, they were the ones making it happen. So there's a couple issues with it right there. Another issue I have with much of the debates that are going on about unemployment, the candidates are all talking about what they're going to do to create jobs. If you look at it from that perspective, they're not looking to produce something. People start a business because they can make money at it. They're going to produce something that they're going to get paid for. If the government's making jobs, they're not creating a business. They're not looking to make a profit. They're not looking to produce something. They're looking to give somebody a job, give somebody a paycheck. And that's a problem. We're spending money, but we're not getting something in return for it. Now, some of these jobs they come up with might end up being useful, but if that's not the goal going into it, there's an issue. So I have an issue with the government making jobs, so to speak, because they can't create a job that is productive the way the market can. So the thing that the government can do to benefit job creation is to get out of the way. That's pretty much the extent of it. If you stop limiting the people who are making the jobs, they're going to make more jobs. And so to touch on a few things that the government is allowing or causing that could be stopped. If you look at a business, their whole goal is to make a profit. If they don't make a profit, there is no business. It'll go under, everybody loses their job. So they're looking to make a profit. That's the number one priority. How they go about doing that, they decide how much they can sell a item for or a service for, and then they go about trying to produce it cheaper. So if you have an item you can produce or you can sell for $25, you want to produce it for $20 or $22, so you're making a profit off of every one of them. The more profit you can make, the better the business is. However, the better the business is, the more people are going to want to get into that line of work or have that type of business. Some of the issues with producing things at these prices are getting the resources to create whatever you're selling. Those prices will fluctuate due to a couple different factors. One thing is just simple supply and demand. The more in demand those resources are, the higher the price will be to get them. And the reasons for this are natural sometimes. Sometimes people just want a lot of a certain thing and the demand goes up on it. Other times, I'd like to call them natural disasters occur. If you have a war, if you have a hurricane, if you have something that commonly happens in the world, it may, for a while, affect prices. And the third thing is inflation caused by government devaluing your money. In the last 50 years or so, the money, the U.S. currency, the dollar, has lost 95% of its value. So when they bought nickel candy back in the day, and now it costs you $1, there's your answer. The government is continually devaluing the money. Their logic behind this is if the money is devalued, it drives the prices up. Not that the thing produced is worth more, but there's more dollars being used to purchase it. In their minds, what that does is you're now getting paid more for your product, when in reality the value hasn't gone up, so you're not getting more value for your product. You're getting more dollars for your product. And that doesn't benefit, because on the flip side of that, you can't purchase as much with the dollars you have. So you're not getting more value out of anything, and you're having a harder time purchasing stuff because the value of your dollars is less. So you have these different factors to consider when you're talking about what it takes to produce something. You also have you have to employ so many individuals to create it. If it takes 3 individuals to quickly produce something, then you have to decide how much you can pay them. It used to be a lot less difficult. It used to be you said, hey, I'll pay you this much, and they either accepted it or they didn't. That was how you get people to work for you. When you have unions involved, now it gets tricky. You have something you're trying to produce for $20, it costs you $5 for the resources, and you have 15 left over for labor. If you could pay people $3 per item they produced, you could hire 5. But if they decide that that's not enough, they drive the price up on you. They set a minimum wage. If the minimum wage is suddenly set to $5, well, now you can only afford to hire 3. If they move the minimum wage up to $7.50, well, now you can only hire 2. If you can only hire 2, you can't produce this item as efficiently as you want to, and now you're losing money. So the more things are driven up that way, the more difficult it is to produce something. So you have another factor in that the more this minimum wage is pushed up, the less people are employed. At the $5 an hour point, you had 5 employees. Well, they drive up the wages, everybody's getting paid more, and that's a great thing, except now you only have 3 employees instead of 5. So you have 2 people that are now unemployed because you want to get paid more, basically. Drive it up again, one more person loses their job, and now we're not producing the item that we want to produce, simply because we want to set the minimum wage for that. Excuse me. So we have a few issues there. The best thing is to have the government out of the way, and to also not have laws that force the issue that the unions want to bring. The unions are good if they're simply there to organize and bring a consolidated list of problems that need taken care of. However, if they are able to bring this list and say, you know, you have to do this and you can't fire us, now there's a problem. And so we've had a lot of prices driven up to the point where you can't afford to make your product anymore and be competitive. That's not the entirety of the reason, but it is definitely a factor in why the car companies went under. And we're seeing it a lot more in a lot of places. Right now, the recession is killing a lot of people because they can't lower that wage limit to increase their employees. They're stuck at a certain level. So there's a lot of difficult factors when it comes to unemployment. And we'll talk about more of these in future videos.